Hi, and welcome to CatalogIQ. In today's tutorial, we're taking a look at how to build a connector from CatalogIQ's product endpoint to BigCommerce catalog. We're going to use PubSub and Google Cloud Functions to create a serverless function that will sync products from the Catalog API to BigCommerce in the background. So let's get started. First, we're going to want to go to PubSub. All right, in CatalogIQ, go over to Repositories, BigCommerce GCF Importer. And from here, let's go into Source, and you'll find our main.py and our requirements text. These are the files that we'll copy into our Google Cloud function, and we'll see how to do that in just a minute. Let's bring back our PubSub back for a minute. All right. So on our PubSub, we are on the topics list, and we are simply going to create a new topic. As demo BigCommerce. We are going to add a schema. And we're going to create a new schema. Schema ID is going to BigCommerce. We're going to leave it as the Avro schema. We're going to delete these two. And we're going to change the name to offset. And now all that's doing is telling the PubSub that it's going to expect messages in this type of schema. So we're going to have a data property with an offset property name, and then it's going to have an offset value, which is going to be a string. We can go down and validate the definition. Schema is valid. We can test a message. It would be in the format of offset. And our message is valid against the schema. We'll just go and create this now. Okay, now we have a schema created. We can hit refresh on our previous PubSub setup screen. And we have our demo BigCommerce message. We'll leave these as default. And we don't need any of these other flags. And we'll just go and create this now. Now let's go to trigger cloud function. We are going to keep our environment as the second gen. We are going to name our function demo commerce factor. We're going to leave the region the same. And our PubSub topic is already selected for us. We're going to leave the more options as default. We're going to select a source code runtime environment as Python 3.12. And we're going to edit our entry point. Oh no. Okay, we'll do this one more time. We're going to up the CPU to 0.33, leave a 60-second timeout, and we're going to auto scale it up to 100 instances. You can run this as many instances as you want, and you can also trigger the PubSub message to be sent right after the job is triggered, so that you can trigger all the instances for all the products being added at once, as many instances as you have available. This greatly speeds up ingestion of the data into BigCommerce, but you will likely come up against your API limits, which we have not worked into the code or into this tutorial. If you have a regular Pro account, you may come up against the insertion API limits, which I believe at the time of writing are 50,000 per day, but that might have changed on the different levels of accounts within inside BigCommerce. So we're going to leave this the same. We're going to go back here and go back to Python and recopy our files. Here's our requirements txt. And our main.py. All right, and our entry point is going to be process product. Okay, now we have to add some API keys into the environment variables. So let's go and get this and go to runtime environment variables, add variable. That'll be a CatalogIQ key. It'll be the BigCommerce key. BigCommerce. Here's the store hash. And we have one more for SendGrid. So remember that using runtime environment variables helps to keep our API keys from being exposed over the network and adds another layer of security to our implementation. So now we need to populate these with our actual values. So I am going to use we'll go over to our settings and go to API storefront key, store level keys, and to create an API account. We'll use the v2, v3 token and demo. Notice that that is our store hash. So let's copy our store hash and add it to our environment variables. And now we want to enable catalog or products to be modified. We can leave all the others restricted. Remember, we only want to leave as much information as needed. Leave as much access as needed and restrict anything we don't. So I think we're looking all good here. And we'll just go to save. All right, so now it generated your client ID, your client secret, and your access token. Your access token is what we're going to use inside of our environment variables for our BigCommerce API key. And for our SendGrid key, I'm just going to put 111 here, since I'm not going to be using SendGrid at this time, but you can sign up for a SendGrid API key at sendgrid.com. And this will enable you, once you're configured, to send out emails using SendGrid. All right, so the next thing we need to do is we need to add the name of the project and the name of the topic. So here is our project name, and you'll see at the top you'll have a project equals, and we're just going to copy that. And we're going to copy our topic ID, which is up here. And our pub subtopic is Demo BigCommerce Connector. So we'll add that to the topic ID. Demo BigCommerce Connector. All right, so let's go ahead and deploy this function. All right, our function is now deployed. Let's go ahead and test it. So we are in our Demo BigCommerce topic. We're going to go to Messages, and we're going to go to Publish Message. And we just want one message. And remember our offset schema, we're going to add the offset property, and we're going to add a string for the value, which we're going to start the loop off at 0. All right, so now let's go check out our cloud function. We'll go to Cloud Functions. And we have our Demo BigCommerce Connector assigned to our topic, Demo BigCommerce Connector. Let's go ahead and look at this. All right, so right now we see that our initial message generated a memory limit error. So let's go ahead and go to Edit, and then Runtime, and let's increase this up to 512 megabytes. Actually, let's give it 1 gig, and then reset our CPU to half a CPU. I'm going to give it 1 gig and 1 CPU with a 60-second timeout, auto scaling up to 100, and our environment variable set. So let's go ahead and redeploy this. And let's go check our BigCommerce catalog. So inside of our products list, you'll see that 2 came over into the product catalog until it generated the memory error. So let's go ahead and remove these. All right, our function is still updating. Now it's updated. And let's go back to our messages. Go to PubSub, our Demo BigCommerce Connector, and let's send a message. We'll do the same, the offset property, and it has a string value of a number, and we're going to set the offset to 0 to start from the beginning of the API feed. All right, our message is published, so let's go back and check our function. Okay, if we go to our logs, we'll see the output from the post function. And And then we have some errors saying that the product name is a duplicate. I'm going to go in and search to see why that is. Let's refresh our store. Okay, so now we see, oh, this happened because we triggered the process twice. I noticed that when I set it up. So let's go back and fix that. On the BigCommerce side, you'll notice the products are now inserted. If we go into a product, we have all the information, images, identifiers, and options that we expect. And if we go on to the preview page, you can see our custom options were imported from our attributes. And we have the finished and other option selections that are done. And BigCommerce automatically relates items, so it's related these fairly well already. So that is all there is to syncing those products. And let's just go and tie this up because I saw what happened. So let's go back to PubSub and go back to our BigCommerce connector. And the subscription that was automatically created when we set up the account, we don't need. So let's just go ahead and delete this. All right, so now let's go back over to our products list in BigCommerce and delete these. We'll give it a minute for the system to update the deleted, and then we'll come back and rerun that process by triggering the message. All right, so let's try to trigger the import for this brand again, and we'll go and publish a message. The offset property requires a string, and we're going to set it to the number 0. Let's go ahead and publish this. And let's go back to our cloud function. And go to our logs. Let's see why that is. Let's go and refresh. All of our products were put in. So there was 10 post requests. And it looks like they might have been duplicated. So we'll want to go back through our PubSub and make sure that the request to this topic wasn't duplicated across messages to other subscribers, which it shouldn't be, but it looks like it might still be. So we're not going to go back through that now since it is working, and we can go and see everything inside the store. You'll notice that the images are present. The main image is set to the product image. The attributes are all populated. The SKU numbers are present. And all the options are available here. So now if you want to go and do a different brand import, we would simply go and edit this function. And we would go down to our runtime environment variables and change our CatalogIQ API key. And then we would just do this for each brand that we're importing, or set up a different function for each brand so that you can just trigger them when you want. Alternatively, you could send and receive the API keys through PubSub messages to trigger the function depending on the offset and the API key. However, That does expose your API keys over the network, and I wouldn't suggest doing that. If you have questions, comments, concerns, please go to our GitHub repository and leave information, exchanges, updates, or suggestions so that we may integrate them into our next tutorial. Thank you for joining me at CatalogIQ, and I hope this helps you.